people's Dr. Sade, why you do, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl, Your Brand's a Big Deal podcast. And I'm super excited because we have another phenomenal guest, Chantelle Cotton, also known as Chantelle C. She is a self-love expert, a sales expert, and business maven. And she is here today to talk a little bit more about the self-love side and the sales side, because we need a little bit of both. And I'm super excited that she is here. She's a mastermind behind so many brands that you've seen. Some of you have seen them on television. So I'm super pumped that Chantelle C is here. Welcome to the stage. How are you feeling today?
Great with all that energy. Yay. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here and saying yes. So tell us a little bit more about who Chantelle C is. Also, the C stands for cancer because our birthdays are a couple of days apart. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I am a self-love advocate, as she was saying, and that derives from, young and not understanding what that meant or what that looked like. Realizing I'm in the field of sales. I've been in sales for 30 plus years. I've done every type of sale you can think of, from retail sales to wholesales to knocking on doors to you name it. I've done it. And what I realize is that the level of love that you have for self translates into every area of your life. And in sales is really important because you have to feel good about yourself to present yourself to someone, to convince them to buy whatever it is that you're selling, your product, service, or consulting, whatever that looks like. So that's kind of how I got all started.
So tell us a little bit more about you, like this passion for sales, because we work with women entrepreneurs. And sometimes sales is not the sexy thing that we want to focus on. We like the pretty, we like the branding, we like the colors, the lights, camera, and action. But when it comes to standing on business and the sales part, a lot of times we have some challenges. And that's how we actually got connected. So how did you get into sales?
Oh my goodness. Sales was on an accident. It really wasn't something that I was looking to do. I actually got into sales after I finished grad school. The reason being is because my original job or lane that I thought I was going in was to be project manager of an international company based out of New York. And my office was going to be in the Twin Towers. Well, Twin Towers didn't exist anymore. So therefore there was no job opportunity. And I had to pivot. I had to figure out a way to go. So I went to a job fair and I met this gentleman and he told me about the sales position. And he said that I would be able to write my own check. He said I'd get a small base salary that would pay for like the gas and, things to get me, preliminary things. But my real money would be in sales. And that would be based on my performance. And I would write my own check. So he said, write your own check. I said, and I'm a broke college student at this point, looking for a job. And I said, tell me more. And that's kind of how I fell into the sales industry.
I love it. So what are some challenges that you see that women have when it comes to sales?
I think it's people not being confident in, not necessarily they're not confident in their product that they're selling, but confident in knowing that what they have is good. And if somebody tells you no, that just wasn't your customer. It's not, it doesn't mean that what you have is no good. It just means that person, the timing was not right for that person.
So timing, let's talk about that, the objections, because that's what really gets us apprehensive. We can talk about so many things, because I know, we have these conversations behind the scenes and the objections, people don't want to feel rejected.
Right.
So how do you, as someone who is a veteran in sales, navigate that?
So what I try to teach people is don't be attached to the outcome. Understand what you're giving, what you're offering, and what you're providing. Understand that people nowadays are in a microwave society. So it's important that you translate and communicate what the result will be if, in the event, they apply themselves. If we're talking about in a coaching type situation or a service type product. If we're talking about a physical, tangible product, then you focus on the results of what this product is going to do if you follow the directions and do it right. And then whether or not you've translated that information to the customer enough to make them desire what it is that you have, and that you're going to heal that wound and fix that pain, is no longer your issue. It's the person on the receiving end, if they're ready to fix the problem that they said that you told them or showed them that you can solve.
Let's talk about this. What are people getting right when it comes to sales? What are our ladies getting right?
The benefits and the features of what they...
You get this and you get this.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that.
And we typically forget to talk about the how.
The how. Let's talk more about that.
Mm.
The how piece.
So most people, when they're telling it. They're telling you what's going to happen, and they're telling you what it is, and they may even show you. But the how to get to there is the part that usually gets left off. So, that goes into telling a story behind how you got from point A to point B. That's showing them how, and then you're the result if it's a service-based product or a transformational product. So if you can take a person on a journey to show them how you did it, and if they duplicate what you did, they'll get the same result, then it tends to communicate, it tends to be more digestible, and they tend to understand, and you'll get them saying yes before you even ask for the sale. And then another thing people don't do, they could do an excellent job of explaining the product, the service, and all of the things, but they never ask for the sale in the end. Ask for the sale. However, in most cases, if you are doing your sales presentation correctly, having an authentic conversation, not selling them, but having a conversation about what they told you they needed, you are the solution. Most times, that person is going to ask you, how can I sign up?
And when we get it right, what are some of the amazing, even mind-boggling results you've seen and you've been able to help people with?
Oh gosh, taking their sales from maybe making $2,000 in a month to $10,000 in a month, just from one tweak to their conversation, or tweak to or just asking. And once a person, all it takes is one yes. It just takes one yes to build a person's confidence for them to do it again. And if they continue to rinse and repeat, then they end up getting the results that they're looking for. Just seeing someone, actually taking the information. The best student is a person that takes your information, goes and applies it, and gets the result. Doesn't try to add their own swag, doesn't try to, tweak it, or they just go do it. Those are the best students because they're fearless. They're just going to go try it because they've tried it themselves so many times and it hasn't worked. So now they're going to try this, and then they do it and they get success. So that's the biggest problem. I think what I've found in my career working with other influencers and thought leaders and doing behind the scenes sales for people is a lot of the times the individual, the consumer, in a service-based, in that coaching space, business coaching, all those spaces, the consumer puts too much onus on the influencer to give them the results that they need, and don't apply themselves and the work that's being taught to their own businesses to get those results. And if they were really honest with themselves, they really weren't doing everything that the coach told or the consultant told them to do. But people want to point the finger out and not point the finger in. So that's one of the things. And it all has to do with blocks, money beliefs, different experiences that people have, that learned behavior, learned habits that they have that cause them to end up folding when the first time something happens and it doesn't go right.
Now let's segue into self-love, because I know for me, I've had sales hangups, and that's how we got connected several years ago, because I was scared of sales. And I know that people who are watching this, you may have a gift, you have a calling, you're supposed to transform and change people's lives. But the thing that is stopping you from that transformation is the transaction, getting to the transaction. And a lot of that boils down to this conversation around self-love and self-worth and self-esteem, all the selfish things that we don't talk enough about when it comes to sales and money and finances. And how did you find yourself advocating for self-love and self-awareness and self-esteem? And it all boils back to your original love of sales. How did this all come together?
Well, I noticed there's a psychology behind the whole thing. And most people, all people, don't want to be sold. And so when a person is their authentic self and they're confident in who they are and they know whose they are, then they can deliver information without it sounding salesy, without it being very aggressive, without it coming across desperate. And what I noticed is that when a person is having a good day, then they can communicate and everything goes well. And a person is having a bad day or not feeling good about themselves, then it also translates throughout their sales process. So it's important that people who are doing sales or in sales, or if you're if you are the person doing the sales or the influencer, that you're in the right mental state, the right mindset, because people are first not just buying your product, they're buying you. And if you can't make a connection with the person from the gate so that they trust you enough to even invest money with you, then you've already lost. Because people buy from who they know, like, and trust. And that's like nothing new. Everybody knows that. But it's the truth. People buy from who they know, like, and trust. Because the person next door could have the same thing you have. But if they don't like them, they're not buying from them. But if they like you, they're going to buy from you. So it is important that you show up your best self, your best version of yourself, in order for that to translate to the person whose problem you're trying to solve, so that they know that they're in a safe place, they're in a trusted place, and that you're going to actually teach them what it is that they're lacking, their pain that they're missing, to get the results that they're seeking.
I love it. So tell us a little bit more about why this was so important to you, to have more conversations about self-love and to advocate for it, even having virtual events and live events and product lines around this. Like, where did this come from? Let's get down to it.
Woo! So to be totally transparent, so I didn't know what it was. I didn't have an idea. A lot of people lack self-love and don't know they don't have it. They don't understand that they don't. And it comes up and shows up in every relationship you have, whether that is in a male to female relationship, male to male relationship, friendships, family, what have you. And the biggest thing is you don't have boundaries. And without boundaries, people can run all over you. And that also detects it translates into the level of what you think of yourself. What is your self-worth? What do you think you're worth? If you allow every individual to come into your life to have their way, even if it's not something you really want to do, but you're a yes person. And I used to be a yes person. Even if I didn't want it, I'd say yes anyway, begrudgingly, and be mad later, but I would do it because it would make the other person happy. But I never thought about making me happy, and see what that is. And so when you learn that the heart pumps blood to itself first.
Nobody's no good if you're not. And these lessons, so... Chantelle looks great for her age. We are years apart. You might not be able to tell. But a lot of times our private conversations, I don't know, I want to let's dig a little bit deeper. We go a little, deeper. We have a lot of conversations about a lot of things. We talk about business. We talk about life. We talk about love. And I think these reoccurring themes about, like, who do you want to become? And how do you want to be a better person? So part of this is, I know you see a lot of you in me, and vice versa. It's like, okay, if I was 20 years younger, this is the advice I would give myself. So in this moment, what is some advice that you would give your 20-year-old, not your 20-year-old self? Well, let's say that 20 years ago, or we're going to, rewind the clock. Around these topics of sales, self-worth, self-love, relationships, things that we talk about when the cameras are not rolling. What is some advice you would give to our community and even to me?
Be fearless. Even though I feel like when I was in my 20s, there wasn't nothing I couldn't do. But the driving force behind that is because people told me I couldn't. And so instead of that making me feel less than in that respect, I was driven. I was like, oh, you say I can't do it? Watch my footwork. So, but I think in everything you do it fearlessly. Do it without doubt, and just understand that you're not going to die. Don't do nothing crazy. But you'll never know until you try, And I think I would have probably understood that I didn't have to say yes to everything, and it was okay. And just because I said no to somebody didn't mean they were going to walk away or walk out my life or not be my friend anymore. That came from having a low self-esteem. That came from a lack of self-worth. It wasn't until I realized that I was worth something. It wasn't until I realized that I am somebody that I could say no with an affirmative no, because it's a complete sentence. And if they walked away, okay, because they were using me anyway. If they didn't, they were genuine, and they're still in my life to this day. But it just took a lot of learning, growing, healing, mental work, just through therapy, through having life coaches, different things and experiences through life, to look in the mirror and say, hey, the common denominator in every situation you're in is you. So you can't change another person on the other side. You can just hope that they will respect your boundaries and whatever have you. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for you. So who are you going to change? So I started pointing the finger back at me.
So what was that moment that you said, I got to do something different? Like, is there like a catalyst moment or an experience or an event where you were like, okay, this ain't working the way I want it to work. I have to do something different.
But I would say the most recent one was that, hey, I gave it a good run for 50 years. And I was 49 years old. And I said, the other side of my life can't be the same as the first half. I said, it was, time to make mistakes and all the things. And yes, I'll still make more mistakes, but I have to make better decisions. I have to make more informed decisions. I have to do things differently this side of life, because I don't want to work like a Hebrew slave for the rest of my life. I want to be able to have some freedom and relax and enjoy the other side and not work so hard. So those were some of the things I wanted to incorporate when I turned 50 that said, hey, you got to do this differently.
Do some things differently. Do you want to share? What are some of these things that we can do differently?
Well, one of the things I did was I challenged myself from a fitness perspective.
Let's talk about it.
I challenged, so that helps with your mental as well, because if you can be consistent, because everything is about consistency, and so if you can be consistent in your gym commitment, then you're going to be consistent in other areas of your life. So I hired a trainer. And I started going to like different classes and doing stuff. And that was cool for a while. And then I got bored. And then I hired a personal trainer. And so I'm big on accountability. So I figure if I paid this person to train me and they got their money, I'm showing up because I paid them to do a job. So I got to show up. So that, and I've been doing that consistently with the personal trainer going on 3 years now. And I've gotten the results. And it's the same thing with business. You have to be consistent in your business. You got to be consistent in your sales, have daily activities that are going to be money-making activities on a consistent basis so that you can get the results that you want. Just like building a muscle. If you're consistently in the gym, you're consistently lifting the weights, you're consistently doing your cardio, your stamina, and you're going to get muscle and burn fat. It's all related. And it also, as a result of you getting to the goals, as a result for myself, reaching the goals that I wanted to be was I wanted to be 50 and 150. I exceeded that goal. I got down to like 148, 45 and looked like a crackhead and said, nope, I need to go back. A little bit too skinny there. And so with that, it spills over into your work ethic. It spills over into your relationship. You show up different. You feel better about yourself. So you show up more confidently. You feel like, okay, I can do this. And it's a self-talk that you have to give yourself every day in order to do that. Because when you have been a person who never thought much of themselves for so long, you have to condition yourself to think highly of yourself on a regular basis. And that's where the affirmations and afformations and all those things come into play. So I'm an affirmative person. I'm an affirmation person. I'm the type of person, which I learned was okay when before I thought it wasn't, that wants to know that I'm appreciated. I need to know that I'll work to the ends of the earth, but if you don't appreciate me, I'll back up. And I know that about myself now. And it doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. It's just one of my things. And just accepting my quirks, accepting my shortcomings, and just intentionally doing things to become better. Acknowledging the mistakes, being accountable for things that may or may not have gone the right way, and then releasing things and not holding on. I think I held on to stuff for a long time. I don't forget much. Especially if you've hurt me. And so learning to just release and let go, and understanding that when I forgive someone doesn't mean I have to reconcile. That's not for them, it's for me. So those are kind of some of the lessons that I learned in this self-love journey, that also sitting down and also in sales is meeting a person where they are in the sales process. Some people aren't ready. They would like to be ready for your program or your product or your service, but they're not in the mental state or the capacity to even go there. Not even so much. They could even have the money. I have walked away from huge sales, not because they didn't have the money. It's because they were not going to put their all into it, and they weren't going to get the money back. They weren't going to get their money's worth because they weren't even ready to show up for themselves to make that level of an investment. So although the influencer would have had, been $30,000, $40,000 richer, it would have been more of a headache because this person would have been
not ready.
Because they were not ready.
All money is not good money.
And scared money is the worst.
Ooh, scared money. We don't want that either. I want to definitely shout you out for that about the fitness piece, because I think when I brought that up, you were like, okay, then you need to do this and go to this person. And I mean, I've gained some of it back, but I lost some of it. And it just made me think about fitness in a different way. we both live busy lives. We stay on an airplane, bus, boat, or train. And I had to, for me, not make excuses anymore about my health and wellness. If Chantel's waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, why can't I? Or see, she up at 4. She is up at 4. She working out. And holding myself accountable for the things that I do desire. Because like you said, that self-worth, how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself, it shows up in your business. And it shows up in your money. And I didn't want my money to be funny no more. And I was like, okay, we got to have a holistic approach to how we handle business. And I think that's one of the things you definitely bring to the table. It's not just about, okay, we need to hit a sales goal or income goal. How was your whole life? We talk about fitness, talk about these relationships, situationships, and all the ships and things that happen too, because it's a part of your life. And it affects how you show up. So I guess we can talk about relationships since I brought it up. What's like some newfound advice or enlightenment that you have around relationships? It can be around romantic relationships. It can be relationships with other people. But what is some newfound advice with the relationships and self-awareness and self-love?
Well, one of the things that is check your inventory. And what I mean when I say check your inventory, the people who you are attracting that's coming into your space are a direct reflection of what you think of yourself. How people treat you, how they approach you, how they handle you is a direct reflection of how you handle and treat yourself. So if you're not good to you, then no one's going to be good to you. So do inventory of yourself to understand the people that are around you. Also, be okay with understanding that you gave something a good run and it's no longer serving you or them, and being able to walk away feeling empowered and not guilt because you're suffering in silence. But this person or thing or relationship, whether that's a business relationship, a romantic relationship, is no longer serving you, but it's serving the other person. Being okay with releasing and letting go, as long as you do it respectfully, of course. But those are some things. And then learning to leave things at the door when it's time to get to business. Try not to allow that to filter over into your work life, business life, so that you can show up and be the best version of yourself. Now, that's challenging at times because we're human, but having tools and things in place in order to be able to do that and keep your mental health in order, like therapy, like reading books, listening to transformational podcasts, things of that nature, are all good for your psyche because you want to show up your true, authentic self and the best version of you. But if you're not taking care of you, how can you possibly do that?
I love it. What are some advice that you give to women who are watching this that want to take better care of themselves? What are like 2 or 3 tips?
If it's losing weight, then I would encourage you to drink more water. Drink your body weight. Take your body weight, divide it in half, and drink that amount in ounces of water. Flushing out the system, flushing out the toxins and all of that in itself will allow you to lose weight, to start losing weight. That in itself is the big key. A lot of people don't like to drink water. But now they have all these different flavors and things that you can do to make the water taste better. So that's one of the biggest things. Another thing I would suggest if you are on a weight loss journey of some sort, I would be careful about the types of carbs that you eat and the time that you eat them. I just wouldn't eat a huge potato and a bunch of potato chips and French fries and all these carbs at 9 o'clock at night and I'm going to bed in an hour. I would eat whatever my heaviest meal is, try to eat that in the middle of the day, or, when we used to back in the day have supper at 5 o'clock, but I wouldn't eat anything really heavy than 3 hours of me going to sleep. My last meal would be 3 hours before I know I'm going to bed, so that you're not, that's not sticking to you and you got a chance to burn some of it off. Number 3, let me think. What would number 3? Oh, and eat on a saucer. Eat on a saucer.
Oh, yeah.
Eating on a big plate, put it on a saucer so that your portion sizes are smaller. And eat those, maybe try and do them 5 times a day. 3 meals and 2 snacks. That would be my fitness tips.
That saucer really is a nugget, okay? Eating on a saucer so that we eat less and eat more. That other piece is important too. People feel like they have to starve. And that's just not healthy for us. We need to eat more and eat less portions as we eat. So that was really great feedback. What's some advice that you want to leave our audience with overall about their self-love, self-worth, and self-awareness?
Just practice loving the me you see. When you look in the mirror, find things about yourself that you love, whether it's your lashes, whether it's your lips, whether it's your hips, whether it's your waist, whatever it is, God gave it to you. And you're the only person that's you. You are the most important person in any situation. That's you. So loving you is going to be good for you and everybody else who comes in contact with you. It's going to translate into every single relationship that you have, whether it's business, whether it's love, whether it's with your children, doesn't matter. What you feel about yourself translates to what you feel about others and how they feel about you. So find something you love about yourself.
Find something you love about yourself. How can we stay connected to you?
Well, on my social media handles are I am Chantelle C. That's I am CHANTELLEC. And you can also find me at chantellec.com.
chantellec.com. Okay, so I want you to look in the camera. I think your camera, this is your camera, and introduce yourself and tell us why your brand's a big deal.
My name is Chantelle C. I'm a sales strategist and self-love advocate. The reason why my brand is a big deal because I teach women how to authentically love themselves so that they can show up in their communities, their authentic selves, and show them how they can solve the problem that they have and translate that in a way that they can get more sales, make more money, and have a profitable, growing business.
I love it. Before we go, and before we end this episode, what's one business thing we need to look out for in 2024?
What's one business thing?
Yeah, one business nugget, insight that you think the people need to look out for.
Do more videos. People are no longer reading. They like to watch. And you need to be very catchy and quick in the beginning to capture their attention so that they will continue to watch your video. Everything is going digital. Paper and all that stuff is going away. And AI is taking over. But if you don't want AI to take over, get yourself out there, get yourself in a camera and let people know who you are, what you do, and why they need to come work with you. But do it on video.
Do it on video. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much for being here for the Girl, Your Brand's a Big Deal podcast, where we bring you phenomenal experts from around the country and around the world. We'll see you later, beautiful people. Tune in to the next episode. Have a great day.